Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 35 of the Film Room Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Baress, along with my co-host, Joby Fawcett. Joby, how are you?
Joe, I'm doing quite well. I'm very happy that you were able to schedule and actually attend today's podcast, considering you were rocking the house last night
You know it.
on your concert tour. I'm just very happy. Your ears are doing okay?
Yeah. What? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, I'm still in recovery mode, but you got to push through, as
I'm
all
very
athletes
happy.
do.
I'm happy to hear that for you, Joe.
So, but Joby, let's go right to our athlete of the week
We have to
interview
hustle
because
here.
poor Rainna's got to get to her track meet. But we are joined by Rainna Carr of Delaware Valley Track and Field. Rainna, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. We really appreciate you taking the time. But what Rainna did last week was set a school record in the shot put with a throw of 38 feet 9 inches, breaking the previous mark that was set in 2001. She also won the discus event to lead Delaware Valley to a win over North Pocono. Rainna, I know you've answered this question already, but 24-year-old record. What does it mean to set that, in your senior year?
It means a lot to me because that's just the work and the dedication, the effort I put in for the past 4 years on the varsity track program, but also joining as an 8th grader when there was like one meet left. It just shows like the work and dedication that I put into the team and like what I do outside of practice and what I do during practice. It just shows the work. It shows how my family's always there for me. And in my opinion, shows the work I've put in to be able to break that record that was set 24 years ago.
So Raina, I'm a big track person, and I love when history has made something of this nature. And doing it this early in the season obviously resets your goals. But what was that feeling like for you when you launched that shot put out there into the area and you heard that? Did you immediately know that was a big throw for you?
No, I thought it was less than what it was. I thought it was only like 36 feet. So then when I was told that it was 38.9, I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, are you joking? I was like, wait, are you joking? They're like, no, like you just set the record. And I was like, obviously excited. But like you said, since it was so early in the season, there's new goals to be made. Now I'm focusing on breaking the school discus record, which is 116. And my PR is 110. And then also focusing on winning leagues and important invitationals like Icebreakers at Wampaupack, Pack, the Twilight Meet at North Pocono, East Strasburg's Invitational, and Lee's. And then hopefully all that builds up to winning districts.
Absolutely. Rainna, I thought one thing that was funny about your athlete of the week interview is that you actually set the record on your second throw and then broke the record again on your third, the shortest lived record probably in the history of track and field, your own. But so like
I didn't even realize it happened till after the fact. I was like, because they were like, "Oh, what was the record?" And I was like, "I don't remember. What was it?" They go, "I think you just broke it, said it, and then you broke it again and said it again." I was like, "Oh, okay."
And then that's so great. And it kind of, so my question to you is, I mean, what's the biggest difference for you this year as compared to last year?
Just what do you mean by difference? Like,
just the way that, yeah, like what is there anything you did in your preparation that's different? How are you feeling as compared to last year?
I feel like I accomplished a lot my junior year, but I feel like I'm accomplishing more in my senior year. And I feel like the work that I put in, because I'm also a basketball player.
Yeah.
So the work that I put in as well as during basketball leading up to track and like working on my footwork before we would even start throwing and staying after practice to work on more footwork and work on like how to release a shot, my glide and everything like that. I feel like all that work it's showed off and it proved on last Thursday, I'm pretty sure it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Raina, you're not only are you an outstanding thrower, but you are part of what is a pretty good girls track and field team this year. How exciting has this been for you and your teammates to get off to such a great start? You know, you have, Emma Simmons in the hurdles, Liana Coe in the vault and the jump. I know you guys aren't thinking too far ahead, but obviously winning a league title would be something you'd like to be a part of too, right?
Yeah, I think we can accomplish a league title hopefully this year because, again, like you said, with Emma Simmons winning the 100 almost every time we come out here, and then Liliana Kell setting her record once again, the school record for pole vault, and also being a good sprinter. And then you have everybody else at the jumps and everything that everybody placing in like second and first and third. It just really helps us get forward and closer to our goal of hopefully becoming league champions this year for the girls team.
Absolutely. Raina, let's talk about the discus as well. What's it like kind of balancing the shot put and the discus? Is it difficult to kind of train for both? I'm only asking because I was really bad at both events.
It's not, you just have to, in my opinion, it depends on how I split up my time at practice and when I'm not practicing. Like if I go, our practices run till 4:30. So I know if I practice discus from 3 to 4 o'clock or 3 to 3:30, I know I have that much time to do shot, or I have that much time to go work on my footwork and shot or work on my footwork and disc. It just depends on how I space out my time and how I want. If I feel like I'm having a better day in disc, I might stay in disc. If I feel like I'm having a better day in shot, I might stay in shot. And then the opposite too. If I feel like I'm having a worse day in shot, I'll go to disc. If I'm having a worse day in disc, I'll go to shot. It just varies for me and depends on how I'm feeling that day, I would say.
So, Raina, you said you've been doing track and field for a long time. What inspired you to join the track and field team? I just assume, I guess, that you played basketball from a very young age, but track and field really probably didn't start until your junior high years.
Yeah, track and field for me didn't start till 8th grade. I was I was on our basketball team, our school basketball team, and I wanted something where it felt like I was in charge of what my outcome was and what my place was. And I didn't know what sport offered that to me. But then one of my friends, her mom, Mrs. Donnelly, she showed me track and field. She's like, "Hey, you should come out for the track team." And I was like, I don't really know. Like, I was very hesitant at first. You can ask anybody. I was very hesitant on joining the track team. And she's like, why not just join it? So I was like, okay. And I ended up joining it. And here we are 5 years later, breaking the school record and hopefully reaching for another one.
That's so awesome. It seemed to come kind of naturally to you, but how were you able to kind of so quickly from 8th grade on to, pick it up and get to where you are now?
I think it was just, I can kind of adapt easily to change. And I think it was like retaining, like I also had good coaches that would show me in middle school what they would expect at a varsity level. So just that like flow of like consistency and showing how to do all like the steps leading up to whatever movement I was doing, whether that was gliding or spinning or two-stepping, just all that movement in the shot. And then a disc as well. They're showing me how to power and disc. They're showing me how to half spin, and then at the end, learn how to full spin. And it was just the work and preparation that my coaches set me up for in middle school. It carried on from throughout high school, and that's why I'm at this point that I'm at right now.
And you're at a very high point, obviously. Now, Raina, I have no shame, so I'm going to tell you that I'm sorry that I don't know this already, but has your success in track and field kind of led you to try to do this in college or at the next level?
It has. I was hesitant my sophomore year when I was throwing track and field. The whole goal was basketball. I want to play basketball in college. I want to do basketball. But then as I got to participate and like show love and gratitude towards the sport, it slowly turned, what if I don't want to do basketball more? What if I want to focus on track and field instead? And then that love transferred into my junior year when I was like, I think I want to do track and field in college. And that's when I started looking at reaching schools.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Joby. Do you have a school selected, Raina?
No, not yet. We're looking into schools right now. Me and my dad, we're looking for schools and filling out recruiting forms and all that good jazz.
Nice. Raina, I wanna talk to you about, because we have an interesting connection of basketball teams. So number one, I'm also a Duke men's basketball fan. So I've just a terrible way to end the season.
It was very surprising for me. I thought they were gonna come in there. I thought Houston was over, and they surprised me. They really did. They broke my heart a little bit, but they did surprise me. Same thing with South Carolina. I thought they were gonna go in there. I thought they were,
Yeah.
I thought they had it together. Paige, gotta give it to her. She's a really good basketball player. You gotta give it to her whole team.
Yeah.
Sarah Strong, that like freshman powerhouse. Like you
Yeah.
gotta give it to them. But it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean they'll come back strong. Obviously, both teams, and the interesting thing too is I'm a Lakers fan. You're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. We're gonna be facing off in round one. What do you think of the Timberwolves' chances against the Lakers? Personally, I'm scared. I think that you guys are really good.
I think I feel like if the Timberwolves perform how they've been performing for the whole season, I think they have a good chance of beating the Lakers. But obviously, a lot of people are rooting for the Lakers, so that's why I'm kind of picking the underdog a little bit here in that matchup. But I do like the Timberwolves stuff. But I hope they come on. Hope they come on top. Sorry, gotta say. Hopefully they come on top.
Oh God.
That's awesome.
Gotta be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, listen, I appreciate it. You seem to be a nice person, so I'll let it go.
Joe, listen, there's no question about it. She could throw the shot put in the discus a lot farther than you can.
Yeah, Raina, listen, you throw both of them so much farther than I did when I was in high school. It's amazing.
Really?
Yes. Oh yeah. I think the farthest I ever threw the shot put was like 36 feet, and the discus maybe like 80 some. So
it's okay.
Yeah, you got me beat. I wish you could have given me tips back in my high school days, but what can you do, you know? So, Joby, you got anything else for Raina?
I don't, Joe, but what I want to do is, as I always do, is congratulate Raina, because, and I got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to the postseason for track and field this year because of the athletes like Raina. But she's got important things to go ahead here moving each season. And as she mentioned, there's some really big invitationals coming up. So I want to wish you continued success, and I hope things continue to get better and your records improve and your personal bests improve throughout the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thanks
so much, Raina. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. So that was Raina Carr, our athlete of the week this week out of Delaware Valley. Joby, it always surprises me. Now, granted, I only did track and field for a year, and it was just because my friends were on the team, and I just wanted to kind of hang out. And then all of a sudden, they were just like, "Yeah, we need you to be our third putter in the shot." I'm like, "Oh, oh dear." So it's always, having competed in the shot and throwing the discus and Joby, I tried to throw the javelin once. I'm sure I told you the story, but it just went sideways. Like, obviously, it's supposed to go in a up in the air, and it just went sideways out of my hand, and I just walked away, and I just didn't do it. So, long story short, I'm always impressed with anything in track and field, but especially the throws when, just Raina putting up a number like 38.9 that's just in the girls event. That's just a massive number, right, Joby?
Yeah, but now, Joe, in your fairness to you, of course, the implements are heavier for the boys.
Right.
That's not taking anything away from what Raina Carr was able to accomplish. Because you and I always chat a little bit about these records, and put it into perspective, her 38-foot 9-inch throw, I think I know, I shouldn't say I think, I know it ranks as one of the top 10 throws of all time.
Yeah.
In the Lackawanna Track Conference. She is a fantastic athlete in the throwing events, Joe. And you mentioned, of course, she not only does the shot put, but also excels at the discus. Now, these events, what tends to happen, Joe, is because a lot of times throwers, there aren't many who do all three disciplines. Okay, not all throwers do the shot put, discus, and javelin. The javelin has kind of evolved into a different type of throwing event, so you don't always see the shot putters and the discus throwers throwing the javelin, or sometimes the outstanding discus throwers don't do the shot put. Rainna is a complete thrower in that regard. She can do all three.
Mm-hmm.
She excels obviously in the shot put and the discus, so she's done a good job of balancing that, as you mentioned in the podcast. But what I found great about just kind of chatting with her, Joe, is how jovial she is. I mean, she's just a really happy kid who's focused in on what she wants to accomplish, and she's thrilled with what she's done, but certainly keeping her eyes on what's ahead of her.
And that's obviously what you absolutely want to see in high school athletics. You want to see them strive for greatness and have fun at the same time, and you gotta love to see it. Now, Joby, I promised you days ago that I would share. Unfortunately, the icebreaker relays were postponed.
That's correct. That doesn't mean you don't have a great story, Joe.
So yeah. So obviously, again, this is another respect to the track and field people for doing that event, because I got windburn when I was up there. Didn't think that would happen, but it was cold. And so I'm just starting off and I'm throwing. So I'm competing in the discus event, and my buddy at the time, Jim Sabia, obviously you remember, I'm sure, great athlete in the area. He's just watching, and my buddy Sam Archiri, who was on my team, they're just on the side watching me throw, and I throw the discus. Now, again, as I mentioned, not far compared to others, but it was such a great throw for me. And so I throw it. I'm excited. I start to walk out the front.
So it's a violation.
Well, the worst part of it, Joby, is that I realized it mid-step.
Oh, and you just went tumbling, Joe, didn't you?
Right. So I think I let out some sort of quick expletive, and I tried to stop myself from doing it. And I just tumbled over the top. I wish I just completely forgot and just stepped over. It was more embarrassing that I fell over the top. And then Jimmy Sabia is over in the corner. He's just like, "Oh, Joe."
Yeah, Joe. Listen, that's okay. That is a good story, though, Joe.
Oh, Joby, man. Yeah, my track career,
Joe,
short-lived.
Weren't you part of the first Holy Cross official track and field program?
I was actually.
Were you any part of the Bishop Hannon / Bishop O'Hara team that they had?
Actually, no.
Okay. So you came out once it was officially Holy Cross.
Exactly. Just my senior year. And again, the impressive thing is that I peaked about midway through the season in the shot put. I had a really solid throw again for me, and then I got worse. So it's just it really speaks to obviously you got to keep that technique. You got to keep. It's harder than you would think it is. I feel like people who are not that familiar with the shot put and track and field in general, it's hard. So to master it is it's really impressive.
Yeah, Joe, the throwing events are, and of course, you have to say this now. Remember, one of my closest friends in high school was a thrower, Tom Prodzik, who was our shot putter and discus thrower when I was in high school. And unfortunately, and he understood this too, the throwing events sometimes take a back seat. But we've had some really outstanding throwers from the Lackawanna Track Conference historically. We've had a couple of state champions in javelin, and a couple of state champions in the discus.
Yeah.
A couple of state champions in the shot put. So, yeah, they do take a little bit of a backseat in the regular season because, they don't often have the multiple wins in a dual meet, let's say, that a track runner has who who has the ability to run 4 events on the track, where throwers really, you're kind of shoehorned into the shot put, discus, javelin, and so they do take a little bit of a back seat. And it's always difficult too to get to those events because they're often outside the stadium area, the track area. But we've had some really terrific throwers, and Raina Carr is just another one.
Absolutely. So Joby, I think as predicted on the last podcast, we had a rough week in high school sports, and nothing to do with the sports, but everything to do with the weather.
Well, Joe, I've already received a couple of grumpy text messages from coaches because I believe there's some very nasty weather coming through Northeast Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
This afternoon, I believe we're getting some heavy.
I was going to say, I hear the rain out there.
Yeah, heavy rains and some wind. And I received at least one tennis postponement. And yeah, listen. So the spring sports kids, we say it every year, they really endure a lot. It's not easy because you have to deal with the weather here in the area. It's been unseasonably cold.
Yeah,
Joe, which number one. And you know this too, Joe, being a basketball player. First of all, none of us like practicing.
No.
Okay. Any athlete who, they want to kind of bolster themselves or whatever and say, boy, I really love to just practice. No, you didn't. No, nobody loves to practice. Okay. Or let me say this. You don't love to practice without some reward at the end. Okay.
Yes.
And in track and field specifically, Joe, now it's a little bit different for baseball and softball. They have a couple of games that they can play back to back if they need to. In track, you just can't do it. You're kind of really only able to run optimally once a week, and you're really pushing it at 2 times a week. Okay.
Right.
Once you start getting these postponements, then you're missing training days, and track coaches, they're kind of wacky. they're so crazy with certain workouts and whatever, but a lot of times what they do is they map out an entire season of workouts around the schedule, around the postseason schedule, and they want to hit certain things and certain workouts at certain points of the year. And all of those elements come into play. But more importantly, you have all of these athletes, junior high, varsity level athletes, and they're practicing, and that's all they're doing, Joe. And then the meets get postponed, and then they have to, if they don't get postponed, they're competing a lot of times wearing sweatpants or sweatshirts, and that's not always the best scenario either. Or you're battling rain or heavy wind or whatever, and it's just miserable for the kids and the athletes. But I'll tell you what, they do their best to make the best of it and give great performances. We just had a pretty good meet yesterday between Lakeland and Dunmore. I know last week we had Dunmore and Mid-Valley had a great dual meet against one another head to head. And, so we've had those really outstanding performances despite the fact the weather is just not cooperating.
Yeah, exactly, Joby. It's, yeah, I mean, you're right on there with I remember, obviously in the winter it was snow that would postpone basketball, and it's just funny. I just remember this one time. It's just like, well, the game is postponed, so we're going to practice. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, oh, great. Awesome. Jeez. So yeah, but Joby, what, for you, what do we have coming up this week? As far as I know, that are we finally going to get that Scranton Prep Abington Heights tennis match?
Well, Joe, I mean, look, I'm not a weatherman, and I never try to fake my way through meteorology school. But I'm going to hope that match is supposed to be Wednesday at Abington Heights. That should be a go, and both teams will be 7-0 going into it. So that'll be interesting to see. Of course, Abington Heights and Scranton Prep are the 2 top programs in the Lackawanna League again this year. Both have won all of their regular season matches by 5-0 shutout. So that's been quite impressive, and we'll see where that goes. But certainly that match will determine the Lackawanna League champion, with a couple of matches still remaining on the schedule. And I'll have an update from that if I go to it tomorrow. So we'll keep everybody posted on that as well, and the ramifications and fallout of the result of that match. Because as you know, Joe, Abington Heights competes in Class 3A. Scranton Prep competes in Class 2A when it comes to the district postseason. So we're looking forward to that. Again, weather permitting, we're hopefully going to have the Walter Godick Twilight Invitational Track and Field meet at North Pocono Middle School. That meet has been moved up to Thursday this year to not conflict with the Good Friday commitments of many of the athletes and their families. So it's a 3:00 start for that event. And I love that track meet, Joe, because it gives our kids the opportunity to kind of get that first big meet atmosphere of the year. Certainly with the Wallenpaupack Icebreaker Relays being postponed from Saturday, this is the first big one where the kids really get a chance to shine. And it really is the first kind of step toward building some momentum for what we have coming up in Jordan Relays, the Robert Spagna Championships, and the District 2 Championships.
Absolutely. And Joby, there were some other excellent performances from this week. I think we should start with
Joe. Yeah, you can start with some track people, but again, baseball and softball, we really had some outstanding performances last week, if I'm not mistaken. And if I may mention one, Joe, from yesterday, I believe a young man from Carbondale area had 18 strikeouts in a baseball game.
Yeah, which is just insane. But well, hey, let's start with baseball and softball then.
Go ahead, Joe.
We have not
run the show.
We have not mentioned them yet. So let's so Gabby Hyber from Wallenpaupack softball, she hit a walk-off 2-run homer in extra innings to lead Wallenpaupack to a 6-4 win over North Pocono to hand the Lady Trojans their first loss. She also had, in total, she had 2 hits, 3 RBIs, and a run. She was also the winning pitcher, striking out 7 and allowing 1 earned run and 7 hits over 9 innings. Incredible performance by her. Paige Anchorani of Dunmore softball, she had 3 hits, including a triple, 4 RBIs to lead Dunmore to a 7-2 win over Riverside. She also pitched a complete game, striking out 8 and allowing no earned runs and 5 hits. She had 3 hits, an RBI, and 1 run, and pitched 3 shutout innings, allowing 2 hits and 1 walk while striking out 2 to earn the win in relief in a 4-3 come from behind win over Lakeland, in which the Ladybugs scored all 4 runs in the bottom of the 7th for the walk-off win. Henry Bartlebaugh of Scranton baseball, he had 3 hits and 2 RBIs to lead Scranton to an 8-6 win over Delaware Valley. He also added a hit and an RBI in a 5-1 win over Valley View. He also went 1 for 4 and earned the win, pitching 2 2/3 scoreless innings, allowing 1 hit and 1 walk while striking out 2 in a 4-3 come from behind victory over Holy Redeemer. The Knights actually scored 4 in the bottom of the 6th to overcome the 3-0 deficit, just like Dunmore did in their game. So we also had a milestone in lacrosse. Peyton LaRocco, Delaware Valley, he had 3 goals and 5 assists to reach 400 points for his career, lead DV to a 26 win over Wyoming Seminary, and also added 4 goals and 4 assists to lead the Warriors to a 16-5 win over Abington Heights. Joby, when it comes to track and field, Tom Fiorelli, he set a record, I believe, exceeding his own record from last season in the shot put, and helped the Cougars to a Division I win over Scranton Prep. As you had mentioned, Matt Repeticki at Mid-Valley won the 800 and 1600, ran a leg of the 3200 relay in Mid-Valley's win over Dunmore in a 1 versus 2 matchup. Joby, I'm loving your rankings.
I was right on. I was spot on.
You nailed it. So also Avery Ronchi from Lackawanna Trail boys track and field, he set a school record in the 3200, added a win in the 1600 in a victory over Mountain View in a Division 4. So those are just a few of the great performances. It's funny too, because I forgot to actually mention Amaya Monticelli, friend of the show, And so this week I want to make sure she had 7 goals and 3 assists to lead North Pocono to a 13-7 victory over Dallas. She also had 4 goals and a 10-8 win over Lake Lehman. So obviously she continues to roll. I will go through a few more of these because I completely overdid how many Athlete of the Week candidates that I was coming up with.
You didn't make our job voting very easy.
No, it was, I didn't make it easy. The athletes didn't make it easy.
Right, that's
good.
A credit to the kids. That's a credit to the kids.
Exactly, and I know you have to get out of here in 8 minutes, so I think I'll.
That's okay, Joe. Take your time. We'll get there.
So I think what I'll do is I'll take the time after you leave to read some more of these great performances, and but yeah.
Well, Joe, if I could, since I mentioned the young man from Carbondale area, Crystal Calderon.
Yeah,
was his name. It had escaped me.
Yes,
and. Joe, 18 strikeouts and 21 outs is a pretty impressive performance.
Absolutely.
And the beauty of that matchup was Michael Smith from Blue Ridge only gave up the 1 run. It was a 1-0 win for Carbondale area. So both pitchers were going at each other. There must have been high drama at this baseball venue.
Yeah, he needed every bit, every bit of those 18 strikeouts.
Outstanding performance by him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe, by the way, just keeping with track and field while you still have me here.
Yeah.
I hope people got a chance to read the story I did in the Times-Tribune today on North Pocono senior Caitlin Kravitz. And the reason I bring that up into the forefront is anybody who's been in an extremely competitive and successful family knows that there's a great deal of pressure to kind of follow in the footsteps of your siblings. Anybody who's lived that dynamic understands it. For her, every one of her siblings from the top down, from Matt Kravitz, who was a state champion in track and field, to her brother Colin Kravitz, who was obviously one of the top players or performers of all time,
right,
in track and field in our area. Here's a guy who was our time. Both Matt and Colin were not just track performers of the year, but they were the overall male athletes of the year. Her brother Pat was an all-region baseball player, but I love the fact that she spoke about her very tight bond with her sister Elena, who was also a track and field standout. But she has certainly answered the call as the baby. She's having a great career on her own, and she's done a great job of kind of carving her name into the record books at North Pocono as well. So it's a great story if people get a chance. We do still write at the Times-Tribune, so if you get a chance, certainly take a look at that.
Yeah, absolutely, Joby. And you're talking to someone who has tried to live up to his sibling for How many times did the sports department try to trade me for my sister in news to get her in the sports department, Joby?
Yeah, Joe, it came up in discussions. I'm not going to lie to you.
It felt, I don't know why it fell through. Maybe first round picks. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. The Howie Roseman of the Times-Tribune sports department never closed the deal. So.
Exactly. So
we're happy with having you, though, Joe.
I appreciate that, Joby. I try. But yeah, no, I guess as far as high school sports, Joby, is there anything else on the horizon?
Well, yeah, Joe, we're going to be getting close to the end of the regular seasons here. So we have some real tight championship races. Again, not that I want to boast or, kind of pique everybody's interest toward the sports that I'm covering in particular, but you'll cover some of the baseball and softball once I exit stage left. But the boys volleyball, Abington Heights and Western Wayne appear to be on a collision course for the Lackawanna League Championship. I did a little notebook this week on the great teams that they have. If you take a look at that, a couple of the young men from Abington Heights we're very familiar with here on the podcast and, of course, during football season.
Yeah.
Shane Brower and Sean Theodore. Sean, of course, both were all region wide receivers this past year in football season, helped Abington Heights to the Class 5A championship. And they have now kind of brought that leadership and their athletic skill set to the volleyball court. It's worked out very well for Abington Heights to this point. And again, a name we're familiar with, Ryan Horitz from Abington Heights, is the setter. He's, of course, one of the outstanding divers for Abington Heights, who I've covered throughout the course of the year. So Abington Heights and Western Wayne both are two of our top teams in boys volleyball. They'll be playing a couple of weeks down the road yet here, Joe, but they certainly have had great seasons to this point. Okay. We mentioned the tennis with Scranton Prep and Abington Heights. Again, that match hopefully will be on Wednesday. We're gonna see those two teams go at it. And in track and field, Joe, yes, the Mid Valley Dunmore meet that I was at last week probably decided Division III in the boys track Lackawanna Track Conference Championship. Matt Rapecki was outstanding. As you mentioned, Mason Vinansky also had a great day in the sprints. Mid Valley's really built quite a track and field program there on the boys' side. I believe they're seeking their 6th straight championship, and they've won, I think, 29 or 30 dual meets in a row, so that's pretty impressive as well. But we do have some big showdowns coming up in the near future, and it should be a lot of fun as Delaware Valley competes in Division II for the championship in girls. We mentioned that with Raina Carr, our Athlete of the Week. So hopefully it'll all work out, and we'll get some exciting things going on here with the invitationals as well, with the Walter Godick coming up.
Absolutely, Joby. Absolutely. And, again, still closing out our awards. We're going to try to get the all-region wrestling team and the all-region and girls basketball team in this week, probably girls basketball on Sunday. But like I said, I don't make promises.
Well, you can't do that, Joe.
No.
Listen, before I do sign off, I do want to congratulate all the boys basketball players on what was a fantastic season with those who were honored on the all-region team, including our Player of the Year, Nico Antonacci. That's quite an honor, Joe, for a freshman to receive as our Times-Tribune Player of the Year, but certainly well-deserved. If I could quickly just run down the players in case people may have missed it in the paper or online or in social media. We had Michael Hughes from Holy Cross. We had Matt Lyons, also from Holy Cross. Okay, we had Nico Antonacci's teammate Jerry Rose was a member of the team. We had Bryson Martin from Scranton Prep. We also had Bayon McLean from Valley View. Cameron Parker from Old Forge was also a member of the team, Joe. And, of course, Robbie Lucas from Abington Heights rounded it out. And congratulations, of course, to Valley View head coach Mike Kerpus, who was our coach of the year.
Yeah, absolutely, Joby. So
what a fun basketball season we had, Joe.
It was incredible. It was incredible. So, Joby, I think that's probably it for you, right?
Yeah, I got to tap out, Joe, as usual. I got some things I have to take care of here and family obligations before I start to put my nose to the grindstone and get some results together here for the evening.
All right. Sounds good, my friend. Thank you for joining me.
All right, Joe. Great podcast as always. And again, congratulations to Raina Carr.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joby. We'll talk.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.
All right. So I'm going to continue on a little bit riding solo here. So there's a few things that I wanted to touch on. A lot of great baseball, even though we had a lot of bad weather. We did have a lot of baseball and softball, a lot of great performances. I just want to run down. I have a ton. So starting at the top, Nick Mills of Mid-Valley Baseball. He pitched 6 innings, allowing 1 run on 3 hits with 4 walks and 4 strikeouts. Mills also added a grand slam and a 10-1 victory over Western Wayne. Aiden Chapman of Riverside Baseball had 4 hits, 1 RBI, and 1 run in a 13-12 win over Honesdale. Trevor Dressler of Honesdale, I believe in that same game, he had 4 hits, including a triple and 6 RBIs and 2 runs in that loss to Riverside. Jake Bart Dukowski of Old Forge tossed a 4-inning 2-hit shutout, walking 2 and striking out 2 in a 15-0 win over Holy Cross. He also had a hit and 3 RBIs. He also had 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs in a 12-0 win over Honesdale. Matthew Callender of Susquehanna Baseball had a 3-hit 5-inning shutout with no walks and 11 strikeouts. He also had 3 hits and 3 RBIs in a 10-0 win over Forest City. Valley View softball, as we always talk about, where do you go? There were several great performances. Kaylee Karwowski, she went 4 for 4 with a double, a home run. She had 4 runs and 2 RBIs in Valley View's 4-inning 23-0 win over Scranton. She also had a hit and a run in a 17-1 win over Scranton Prep. Abby Call, also of Valley View Softball, had 3 hits, 1 RBI, and 2 runs in a 22-0 win over Scranton. Also added 2 hits, including a home run, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs in a 17-1 win over Scranton Prep. Cale Hafner of North Pocono Baseball struck out 9 and allowed 4 hits, 1 run, and 1 walk in a 22-1 win over West Scranton. Also went 3 for 4, including a double and 2 RBIs. He had a hit and an RBI in a 3-1 win over Wallenpaupack. Liam Onifree, I apologize if I pronounce any of these names wrong, of Delaware Valley, had a home run, a double, and 5 RBIs. Ended up losing to Scranton, but that is a heck of a game. Krista Corzar, Mid-Valley Softball, went 4 for 5, including 2 home runs, and had 4 RBIs to lead Mid-Valley to a 16-6 win over Western Wayne. Also added a hit and a run in a 12-0 win over Lakeland. Elise Larson, also of Mid-Valley Softball, had 3 hits, including a triple, and 3 RBIs in a 16-6 win over Western Wayne. Added a hit and 2 RBIs and 2 runs in a 12-0 victory over Lakeland. Cecilia O'Malley of Abington Heights Softball went 3 for 4, including a double, 3 RBIs and 3 runs in a 14-3 win over West Scranton. Cameron Notary of Old Ford Softball pitched a 2-hitter with 1 strikeout, 1 walk, and 1 run. Also had 2 hits, 1 RBI, and a run in a 7-1 win over Honesdale. Also, Brady Holmes in a lacrosse match had 6 goals and 2 assists to lead Scranton Prep in a 19-6 win over Wilkes-Barre area. Melody Bloomer of Blue Ridge Softball hit a walk-off home run to give Blue Ridge a 13-11 win over Susquehanna. The walk-off homer was one of her 3 hits. Former Athlete of the Week and friend of the show, TJ DiMattei, pitched a 1-hitter, striking out 9 in 5 innings in a 12-0 win over Honesdale. Added 2 hits, including a double and 3 RBIs and 2 runs. He also had 2 hits, 1 RBI, and 3 runs in a 15-0 win over Holy Cross. Casey Carey of Montrose Baseball hit a walk-off single to lead Montrose to an 8-7 win over Mountain View. Travis Rooney of Susquehanna Baseball had 5 hits, including 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs in a 10-5 win over Blue Ridge. He also had a 1 hit, 2 RBIs, and 1 run in a 10-0 win over Forest City. Out of Dunmore Softball, Kylie Farr, she had 2 hits, including a walk-off single to cap Dunmore's rally from a 3-0 deficit against Lakeland. That was a game I mentioned earlier when I was talking about Paige Anchorani. We also had Lila Cocharno of Holy Cross Softball, another team where there's plenty of production all around the diamond. She had 4 hits, 1 RBI, and 3 runs to lead the Lady Crusaders to a 12-0 win over Scranton in 5 innings. Added 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs in a 9-1 win over Western Wayne. Also, Rory Escrow from Carbondale Area Softball had 3 hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs, including the game winner to lead Carbondale Area to a 5-4 win over Honesdale. Noah Guessford, Elk Lake Baseball, had 2 doubles and 3 RBIs to lead Elk Lake to a 2-1 win over Mid-Valley. He also pitched 3 innings, allowing 0 earned runs, 3 hits, and 3 walks. He added a hit and a run in an 8-1 win over Lackawanna Trail. And last but not least, Matt Iezzi of Dunmore Baseball had 2 3-run homers in a 13-1 win over Lakeland. So that goes to tell you, there's just a lot of impressive athletes in the area. You know, you could pull any baseball and softball game and just see talent all over the place. Obviously, we had mentioned the track and field, lacrosse, and we got a big tennis match coming up probably tomorrow. I probably should have mentioned by now, but we're recording this Tuesday afternoon. So just to give you an idea of when it's happening, I just want to touch on quickly I already mentioned I'm a Laker fan, so it's very nice to avoid the play-in tournament. But the big thing that happened this weekend is Rory McIlroy finally got over the hump and captured the Masters title and a career Grand Slam, winning every major title. Just what an incredible final day. It's just very interesting to feel like we've all been on the golf course at some point, and it makes you, it's weird because it makes you feel better to see these professionals make some of the shots that you would make, as in hitting it in the water or the bunker or anything like that. And in this case, it wasn't so refreshing because I felt everybody was rooting for Rory McIlroy to get over the hump. And it was just incredible how he would just make this incredible shot, and then all of a sudden just follow it up by just chipping it into the water. It was just such an up and down, crazy final day. Goes to a playoff. Rory finally makes an incredible second shot and knocks in the birdie to top Justin Rose in the playoff. And, it's really that pure emotion it just made it an incredible moment. Everything that was going through his head, the fact that he said it himself, 14 years in the making, when he choked on the last day of the Masters in 2011. He hadn't won a major in 11 years, which is weird to say for a golfer as talented as Rory McIlroy. So just absolutely thrilled for him. I think everybody really is. It's just great to see an athlete just accomplish, what he accomplished, overcoming what he had to overcome. So it's just awesome for Rory. I just wanted to mention that before signing off. I want to thank again Rainna Carr, who's joined us right before for a track meet. She fit us in, so we really, really appreciate Rainna Carr. Congratulations on setting the record, and good luck the rest of the way setting that discus record, and hopefully she goes as far as she possibly can as far as states goes. So once again, we thank her. That she was the Athlete of the Week, brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute. I want to thank my co-host Joby Fawcett as well for fitting us in. I went to a concert last night in Philadelphia, so I couldn't record the podcast on our usual Monday. So I appreciate, while I was out having fun, that everybody else kind of worked around me. So that was very great to everybody. So I'm very grateful. Continue to follow us, the Times-Tribune.com/sports, Times-Tribune Sports on Facebook and Instagram, Joby Fawcett, the Times-Tribune on Facebook, and pick up the paper. Continue to follow along. It's going to continue to be a fun spring season. So join us for all of it every day. So again, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe.